into the nitty-gritty behind monsters from different lore. However, there is a general focus on D&D.
We are players and DMs, so we draw from our experience with different tabletop RPGs, and we tend to go off on tangents every so often.
If you're looking for facts and historical value, this may not be the podcast for you. But if you love discussing monsters and all of their potential, just for fun, then we got you covered.
Adult content warning, and with all that out of the way, my name is Dylan, and I'm joined once again by my two brave monster hunters.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Melina.
And this is Mornings with Monsters. As the moon rises up over the Forgotten Realms, many humanoids begin to stir. One walks out into the forest as their body begins to contort and grow hair. Another finds their way into the city's underground as long pointed teeth begin to grow. Somewhere deep in Icewind Dale, a weathered hunter grows twice in size and strength. And lastly, someone stands at the end of a dock as their limbs violently transform into flippers. If you haven't guessed by now, we are talking wares, and yes, there is such thing as a were-dolphin, which I was super excited to find out.
I didn't see were-dolphin, but I saw were-shark.
Heck yeah, the dolphins, they are like, they can summon dolphins and whales to fight were-sharks. It's a thing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, apparently there's a little bit of lore there. I thought that was fun.
Because they got sonar shit.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
That's
crazy.
I was trying to find a stat block for it, but all I found was the lore. I didn't dive too deep, but
we'll have to either find or make one because that sounds fun.
Yep. So this episode, wares or werewolves, lycanthropes. I guess they're all kind of called lycanthropes, right?
Yeah, in D&D.
That's what I came across.
That's what it said. Yeah, because I was trying to search for information under just using the were prefix, and it was like pretending that I misspelled.
Yeah.
Like where in the world is things, and it was
it was showing me. It was showing me all of the like I looked up 5e wares, and it just gave me like armor and.
Okay, so I thought you
like
misspelled that in that way. Okay, that's
yeah.
funny.
I was like, all right. But the other thing they are also known as is like as a group are were-beasts or a were-type or a nightwalker. But like
Nightwalker.
I feel like I like all of those names, but lycanthrope is going to definitely be your number one, like most recognizable name. I think like a good overall.
Real quick, before we get too deep into the wares, let's give a shout out to the inspiration behind this beefy episode. Alex?
Yeah, we got our first email suggestion. Just a reminder that for all of you listening, if you ever want to get in touch with us to suggest a monster or to yell at us about how inaccurate we were about an episode, you can email us at morningswmonsters at gmail.com. And we have that link posted up in our Instagram, I believe, and maybe even on our RSS feed so that you guys can get to us wherever you are. But with that, we want to thank one of our followers and a personal friend of mine, Aether, for suggesting wares for today's subject. You guys can find him on Instagram at jmuravsky4716, and that is JMURAFSKI 4716. Give him a follow. Let him know that you guys liked the suggestion, and for all of you guys listening, let us know what you want to hear. We're here for you, and it would be fun to interact in a way that's a little bit more personal than just Instagram posts.
Yeah.
And with that, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. You guys have a favorite were creature type?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I don't like admitting it.
What?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because, like, I feel like, okay, I love were-rats. Dylan, you'll learn soon about why, but, like, the Forgotten Realms books by R.A. Salvatore, they got me super into them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I learned all about them already.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I've been on my journey. I just ran out of Audible tokens.
I also like. I don't think I have like a favorite type because I'm not super familiar with them past like the fact that half of our campaign has were abilities. But I will say that this were rat that's on like the wiki page,
Yeah.
um, for Lycanthrope, I was like, what's that? I like
Yeah.
it.
I've used the were tiger. In fact, one of our party members has contracted were tiger lycanthropy. But after doing this research, hands down, I'm going with the were bear. They, to me, are the most interesting.
They are super cool.
And
I
the
really enjoy their like alignment
yeah,
expression, you know?
absolutely. They are like the most reserved in passing their power on, even going as far as like not using their teeth in combat, just to not accidentally give someone else the disease, which I think is really cool. They'll also like train and like make sure that the person that's going to like they're going to pass it on to, it adapts properly to the ideals of like the werebear. They're a lot. They're very like solo, and also what's really scary about them is there is a Goliath variant of polar werebear up in the frozen north. So that's scary. But they're actually
Wow.
known to help travelers pass through the treacherous areas of Icewind Dale and through 10 towns and help people that are lost there, as obviously they are natural survivalists of that area.
That's cool.
But yeah, I just thought that was super cool. Also, this is I think is another example of like stolen lore from the Tolkien verse. At least I
Oh,
don't think they were officially, but like there was the race of creatures that kind of went extinct, except for the one guy who could turn into a bear. I don't know if you guys remember that from.
I do not.
They met him in. He was a shape changer. They met him in the Bilbo's party on their way to.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah,
Oh, this is from The
They were
Hobbit,
the
hiding
right?
in
Hobbit.
the
Yeah,
forest.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't think they ever officially said anything except for that he was a shape changer and that his people died long ago and
Hmm.
blah blah blah. But for
Those ideals
yeah,
of like where werebears are in D&D, they probably came from that
they probably came from that, and
archetype.
they're
Yeah.
very similar in nature to like protecting
Hmm.
nature, things like that. So for me, that's the most interesting. But they're
I
all
think that's
super
what
cool.
I think that's why I like the were-rats so much is because like it's almost a polar opposite in from the werebear because like while they are still pretty careful about how they transmit the lycanthropy to new members because they want to make sure that that person will grow their ranks rather than like strike out on their own. They're, where do rats live? Under a city. Where do were rats live? Under a city,
Yeah,
and like they're sneaky, they're dirty, they're like slimy in their personalities, and but they're also like group characters, like
yeah,
uh, they're very clan heavy and they like to swarm when they attack, which is I don't know, I'm a pack tactics slut,
Yeah.
and when you can do it with semi-humanoid intelligence, like that just seems terrifying. And if I were in like a gross sewer system as a player, and I came up against were rats, I would be really scared, really scared.
so
See, I just read about were ravens. Now I think
Same.
yeah.
that might be one
Didn't
of
even
my
know those
faves.
existed until today.
Was that
Yeah, I
Curse of
mean, I think
Strahd?
that's kind of the point. Possibly. I don't think that they are like there's an actual
Yeah, they were introduced in one of the more recent books.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not sure
yeah.
which one it was. Maybe Strixhaven, maybe Curse of Strahd, which isn't that recent. But 5e recent.
Well, their first mention was in second edition according to Wiki.
Oh,
That's cool.
all right.
But they just look so cool. They look like the perfect like rogue archetype.
Yeah, how cool
Yeah,
would that be?
that would be
And
amazing.
they're lawful good, which I think is very interesting for like a were. No, they're like super intelligent as well.
Of
Mm.
course.
So, I mean, of course,
It'd be
but
cool to see like a were-raven with a rogue wizard subclass.
Hell yeah. That'd be
yeah,
scary.
It would be fun. Um,
rare dragons also exist, and that sounds
Oh, I
terrifying.
didn't even think about that. How the hell does that
gross.
work? Is that just Dragonborn?
So it is a type of lycanthropy that is so rare. It was sometimes believed that it did not exist.
What if a Dragonborn contracts were-dragon lycanthropy?
That'd be cool, actually. I feel
Like,
like
do they just become bigger in their humanoid form? Maybe grow wings? I don't know. Very interesting
have a
idea.
breath.
Well, they already have a breath.
Probably have.
Dragonborns?
That's right.
I wonder if they would have like a human shape. Like I wonder because like I feel like if a human contracted were dragon form, they would be able to have like a dragonborn esque
Yeah.
like were form,
Yeah.
and then they would also be able like a full grown dragon. Because something I don't think we've actually stated is most wares in D&D have like you can have three forms, like your natural form, whatever it was before you were bitten, and then you have like a halfway state, and then you have like a full on version of whatever that animal is.
And their halfway
So
state is kind of like the iconic version of a werewolf versus
yeah,
a wolf for everyone. That
exactly.
for
Yeah,
the
most
mind's eye.
yeah, most of the time when you see them, they are going to be in their were versions that are like that halfway form. Because if they go into
Full.
let's not use a were dragon for
What
example.
Yeah,
about
it's
what about
bad.
Weiss?
But like
Let's do
a
Weiss's
werewolf.
tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our characters or one of our players was bitten by a were tiger. So she can turn into like a half version where she's like still humanoid, but she's got like she's got fur, she's got talons,
Jaws, yeah.
like all that stuff. And I believe that if she goes like fully into her full on tiger form, the only thing that would give her away is like the fact that she's got more intelligence in her eyes,
Yeah.
and they would
Yeah, it's mostly the
I think
eyes.
like some of the other stuff is like a little bit more exaggerated than it might be on a regular tiger rather than like a were tiger that's in full tiger form. Like its claws might be a little bit more pointy, or its whatever might just be like it if you know how to look at something really carefully, or if you are a lycanthrope, you might be able to tell that like
Yeah.
it's not just your average tiger.
If
Yeah.
it were my table and you wanted to find out if this tiger was a real tiger or a lycanthrope, it would be like an 18 DC insight check.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe Arcana, but
Yeah,
probably
it
Insight.
depends on where you're coming from, like
Yeah.
as the character. If you're not a magic user, it's going to be insight. But if you're a magic user, or maybe you're a lycanthrope, I would give you like an advantage on an Arcana check. Just
Yeah.
see like what happened.
Also, we got to give a shout out to Zeke, as he's a shifter
Yes.
that actually shifts.
Oh, and we should. I would like to talk about shifters because
Yeah.
it's one part of the lycanthropy world bubble that we have that I'm not really getting.
Yeah.
So
So it basically lets you wear whatever, but not worry about the alignment. So
So you're saying that like our character Zeke, he was born a shifter, but
yes, he was born a shifter.
and he has like outside of the form that we normally see him in, he has a specific one like transformation, like it's
So,
an animal, or
He
he can
doesn't.
choose.
I don't. No, he has a specific thing that he turns into,
Okay.
which is a were-cat, but it's a naked cat variant. So
Oh,
he's quite
like Beerus?
yeah, kind of like
Hmm.
Beerus.
Okay.
It's probably uncomfortable to look at.
Cool.
so shifters are can also be called were touched.
Yeah,
The
Mm,
they're a race of humanoids that descend from the interbreeding of lycanthropes and humans.
okay. So it's like a passed on trait of lycanthropy.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's almost like a recessive gene that like
Mm.
just randomly pops up every like couple generations and is like like, hey, guess what? You can turn into a cat now.
And so, would you guys say that it's less of a curse like lycanthropy is, and more of like a hereditary trait at that point, like a racial bonus or something?
Well, lycanthropy, although it is a curse, it's also a disease, and those
Yeah.
can be passed on as
Okay.
well. So
All right.
I think it's a combination, like a disease based in arcane. You know,
Okay. A
in
magical
the arcane.
disease.
Yeah, a
Related, but
magical disease,
like technically,
which
yeah.
I guess is the definition of a curse, huh?
Yeah.
um,
And
But
since
it
you
makes sense
mentioned
in the way that like I don't could do you think that you could remove curse from Zeke and he wouldn't be a shifter?
I
Because
don't
that's the thing I
I
don't
think
think
don't
you would
so,
think
have
right?
so.
to have a wish spell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's gonna
that's what I
solve
was thinking.
everything. That's gonna fix
I
whatever.
think that
That's
shift so
Or you
I
can't say fix because
yeah.
I don't think he has an issue with it. In
no,
his
he
Yeah.
mind, it's
doesn't.
not a curse.
So there are like two different versions and then a couple things underneath those versions of how like you can become a lycanthrope. So
Okay.
there's the natural way is like just the true way. You hereditarily have the traits. So I think that he falls under like a version of a true natural like lycanthrope, but I think that it's a shifters fall in like related creatures technically, but
Yeah,
it's still like
it's still
there's
considered where.
barely yeah, it's still
Hmm.
considered like where touched. That's why I say like it's not like a full on,
It's
but
like
it is.
Fey touched characters with the background that you can choose when you're creating your character, you know?
I think so. Yeah. So the other ways of getting lycanthropy, you have to be afflicted, which means infected like bit, induced by a magical item, um, or cursed.
Okay.
And outside of D&D, if you drink water from a wolf's paw track.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep,
cool.
that's actually like one of the most original lores of where of lycanthropy is that uh like people who have been lost in the woods and can't find water will like find a paw print in the mud filled with water and they would drink from it to save their lives, but they would poison themselves with lycanthropy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's crazy. I
It's a
love it.
cool it's
It
one of the
is.
cool stories about werewolves in my opinion.
Also, as while we're on the outside of D&D, I wanted to touch on the fact that I think this sets the record for the oldest monster. There are
Probably.
depictions of humans turning into wolves and creatures as far back as the late Stone Ages on cave
Yeah.
walls. So
Yep.
that's got to be the oldest, right?
I mean, I feel like if you look back at any civilization like pre-modernity, so like 15th, 16th century when we started to like really build up our cities, every single culture, no matter where you are, every single culture has a were
Something. Yeah.
transformation in very prominently in their society, usually as like something that is a lesson or like a warning to be not be an outcast because you can't survive on your own. But like in Viking lore culture, you have the berserker who, I mean, obviously we know that they don't turn into bear,
Yeah.
but the 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 stories and the heraldry of a berserker in the clans was so great and so entwined with their like actual personality that they did say that like these men couldn't live in the cities. They had to live apart from the tribes and stuff because at any moment they could shift. You know what I mean? And the bear would come out, and it's something that I think as humanity we kind of need to express that potential danger in all of us. You know?
Yeah, that feral, like, survival, like, kill or be killed.
Yeah, the animal that we still have and carry.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that was much more prominent when there were no, laws or structure to society that prevent people from just going apeshit, you know, other than other people stopping them.
Yeah, strength,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Hmm.
So I mean, that is, it's almost like an obvious story as far as like fairy tales to teach something goes. Um,
Yeah,
so it makes sense, and it's always wild when you see the same depiction, and like even as far as like it popped up in so many different places at different times, and most of them were based on the moon cycles. Like
yeah.
that's wild.
I love that because like it ties in two completely different ideas. One, it was said that like the bow and arrow was found at the exact same time across the world. So
Yeah,
like
Ooh.
wild.
people across the world created the same tool for the same reasons at the same time, which is awesome because we now know that like the same thing happens with our stories.
Yep.
And those fine points where they all center like around the moon. Why? You know?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Like,
I heard one of the people I was talking or listening to research for this made a cool mention that um, like if they were to explain the moon as being part of the curse, it would be that uh, like the magic of lycanthropy comes from the Seelie court of the Fey
yeah.
Wilds, and that like every time the moon rises full, that like Fey energy seeps into the prime material plane.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
So,
Like that is an amazing way to tie in the like transformation cycle on the prime material, you
Yeah,
know?
especially with bringing in like chaotic forces of like changing your alignment,
Yep.
like
Yep. Oh
somewhat
yeah, that's
randomly.
what I really wanted to talk about that. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's where
something
things get
that
weird with
yeah,
shifters.
yeah. Yeah, shifters don't have it. So like we didn't Zeke has never had to worry about it, but did we like forget or just not know about this when Weiss became a were-tiger?
Yeah, she did. I mean,
she,
she did have some repercussions for turning into one, for contracting it under the blood moon. She shifted
Oh yeah.
unintentionally,
Yep.
and even went into a rage. So
oh
that
yeah.
was kind of my way of depicting like her un. Like I didn't make her go as far as attacking everyone blindly, but I
Sure.
did put her into a like a one-time barbarian like rage,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of represent the fact like this is a power that's currently uncontrolled by you, which she's never used since, but I
Hey,
think it
she
scared
might.
her. Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But that's fair. It's a scary thing.
Yeah,
And
for
you guys
sure.
just haven't been outside during a full moon yet, so who knows?
Yeah, that's true too.
But also the shifters in my world, and I can't really go into it. They tie like really heavily into Zeke's backstory, so there's a lot of stuff in my world as far as like shifter lore goes that's probably not D&D canon specifically.
Okay.
So that's not the greatest representation, but there is, even in my world, like if it's not something that's passed on and it's something that's given or forced upon someone, there
Hmm.
are negative side effects like potential alignment changes or uncontrolled shifts and things like that. So
Okay. That's cool. I do like the aspect of the uncontrolled shift for Weiss's character because she's a young monk who is
yeah,
basically devoted herself to controlling her body and pushing it past its limits on her own like schedule. That's pretty interesting that it would be the first go-to for her change is like uncontrolled rage, uh, not able to like get out of the transformation.
yeah.
You know, that's nice.
Yeah, and it was so unwise to be
Agreed.
like, I know her as a like as a player was like, oh sweet, were tiger
Yeah,
lycanthropy,
sure.
but then like Weiss as a character was almost immediately like, oh shit,
Yeah, I mean,
were tiger
as a
lycanthropy.
character, yeah, as a character, she didn't even drink my character's weird beer potions because she thought that they might get her drunk. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So it was like that. It definitely
He's a monk, by the way, guys.
yeah
Just
threw a wrench. I told
Yeah,
Oh.
very classic, like
I missed that then. Sorry.
trained in a
No, that's
temple
okay.
way of the open palm, like
Very, very classic in their personality. Super reserved, quiet, and like wants to be in control of themselves at all times.
Yes.
yeah, good. It was interesting. I think
Shout out Weiss.
yeah, we're shouting out all our characters. We have a lot of where stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weirdly enough.
So it's the oldest.
Yeah,
It's
so
the
that's cool.
oldest. I do really think that's cool. I love the fact that the origins, no matter where you look, are always going to be along the same lines of I read two different things. God found a barbaric human tribe to create the original lycanthropes.
Is this in D&D lore or?
This is D&D.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like this is D&D, but
That's
like
cool. I like
this
that.
is this is just also lore that I think is behind lycanthropy, like in the world, pretty much anywhere you're gonna look. And they gave them the qualities of the predatory animals that they admired the most. And I was like, that's so cool.
That is cool.
So they might not have all been the same type of lycanthrope in the very beginning, even. The other one was said that a god gave a young group of human orphans that ability, so they had the power to survive in the like dangerous world.
That's cool.
I like both of those. I
Yeah.
think that the second one is probably a little bit more D&D specific, but I
Yeah.
also have a little less knowledge on where stuff. But I think that if you dig deep enough into pretty much any like where lore from any universe, like even fucking Twilight, like that you're gonna get the like, oh, a tribe of like barbaric, a tribe of like nomads,
Nomads, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
like a tribe that just they either showed enough respect or they showed that they like needed that like extra whatever it is. I think it's awesome that like it all kind of is it like, relatively stays in that realm.
Yeah, it hasn't had any like extreme changes from the lore to the expression. Like when we talked about kobolds, the original version in our actual world of kobolds is more like what do we say, like dwarves?
It's like a universal name for
Goblins,
fairies or
that's right.
goblins
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
sprites. Yeah.
And so when we look at that in our real history, and then we look at the creature that is a kobold in D&D, there's not very much likeness to tie those things together. So it's really cool and comforting almost that maybe you know nothing about D&D. Maybe you're about to play your first session in D&D and you're really, really nervous about it, but you come up against werewolves or you want to be a werewolf. That's something that every single human child has probably heard at least one story about in their lifetime. And if you can draw something into D&D from your own personal knowledge, it makes it so much easier, so much better just to like start playing, because those things help you anchor, and like that knowledge is really cool to know that it's just pretty mirrored across the universe wherever it is.
Yeah, I think this is by far the most universal monster that we've covered, and possibly, other than maybe vampires, the most universal monster in general.
Yeah, and it definitely.
But also
old it
where,
is.
yeah, but also where bats are a thing.
Ooh, fun.
So I would love to see a werebat versus a vampire fight.
Ooh.
Like, I don't know, which they are natural enemies.
Vampires and werewolves in D&D? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, they don't like each other.
Well,
I don't
that
know.
is
I don't think
disgusting.
you could. Yeah, I don't. I don't think you could contract vampirism and lycanthropy at the same time.
Oh, but that was such a good movie premise, though.
Yeah.
The first Underworld is all about that. Yeah.
Really?
Yep, it's awesome.
I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't. And, like, who knows? You get the right boon from the right god or the right magic item.
That's
maybe
literally
you could.
the way that it went down in the movie, is that the only person literally capable of carrying both infections in his body was like the last living descendant of the immortal man whose lineage created both vampires and werewolves separately. So
Oh.
like obviously like he was destined for that, you know what I mean? He had like the immortal bloodline in him, but like you said, it would be cool to watch that kind of play out in a game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like different types of media where there's like werewolves versus
Yep.
vampires, or werewolves and vampires in the same,
Realm.
pretty much every Halloween
Yeah.
special, right? Like they just kind of show up, they pop up. But in like D&D, they're pretty separate. Like you don't typically run into both.
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about vampires in an episode, I'm sure that we will see that they live pretty solitary lives as opposed to like werewolves.
Yeah, at some point, I think we're going to have to talk about
Yeah.
vampires. I think someone's going to suggest it, but that is just overwhelming. And honestly, lycanthropy is an overwhelming
Yeah.
topic. It's one of those where there's just so much information from every media. Not afraid to talk about anything, but man, there's a lot of stuff. We could literally never read all of the stuff
Nope.
on werewolves or listen to videos or podcasts. It's just so much. It's been around forever. There's so many different versions. Real wild. So our information could be different from what you guys know. So let us know. Same thing about the vampires. So we'll wait until someone wants us to talk about vampires.
That sounds cool.
So we might be doing that next week.
If anybody wants to suggest.
If you guys are listening to this, at least give us a week off. Do something do something easy. Do something easy next week.
There's so much. Like, I was like, what do I even look up? Where do I start with where's like there's like I literally like it's like, okay, you have the ones that walk, you have the aquatic ones, you have the flying ones. I'm like, wait, why is there so many? And like that's not even the ones that you can't think of. Like because you could have everything could be a where.
Yeah,
version.
I mean, and that's the cool thing. Like, if you can think of an animal, you could possibly become aware of that animal in D&D if you really wanted to. You know?
Yes,
serpent.
you could.
Yeah.
That'd be scary.
Like, one of my favorite ways that I've heard of people contracting it is that, like, Baba Yaga cursed you, you know? Or like some other archfey hag that just really, really fucking hates you. And in that case, you're not even thinking about regular prime material plane animals. You could be anything in the Feywild. You could be anything in the astral.
Aware,
yeah, exactly. And it would be something that, like, your imagination might not even conceive of it until it's too late and you're already that.
I want to be a were duck.
Oh.
Yes.
Just like grow a bill and feathers and.
Can I be a were goostra?
Oh god.
Yeah.
If we're not careful, they're gonna make the Goostra canon to D&D.
My halfway stage is just normal me, but like when I open my mouth, a thousand honks come out.
There's something very pleasing to me about like sailing on a boat under a full moon, and then there's just a pod of dolphins howling at the moon.
That would be cool.
That would be so strange, but also very cool. Or like accidentally sailing into like the were dolphins fighting the were sharks with whales, and that would be chaotic.
That would be
fuck.
insane.
Also, that would be an awesome nat 20 on an encounter table.
Agreed.
First, now we need an ocean. There's no oceans in my world.
Vivian Drew, if you're listening to us today, throw in the nat 20.
Yeah, we do a lot of sea travel. Okay, cool. Speaking of howling, there's a strange noise coming from outside. It doesn't quite sound like a wolf.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, and I know we record these at 8 a.m., but for some reason I can see a full moon. All right. Time to investigate. If I contract lycanthropy, I'm really gonna be a mess,
yeah, but
guys,
just think it could actually help out in a couple of ways, you know?
That's true. Maybe it will cancel out the beholder's grasp on my mortal soul. All right. Well, let's find out. We'll be right back. Hey there, everybody. It's Dylan back again in the middle of the episode. I want to thank you for sending in a suggestion this week. Make sure you keep sending them in because we love to discuss whatever you want us to. And make sure you send those in whenever you want at morningswmonsters@gmail.com. Thanks again. Thanks for listening. We hope you're enjoying. And don't forget to tell everyone you know about our podcast because word of mouth is the best advertisement. Also, thanks, as always, to @MizenCake on Instagram for our amazing cover art. And you can check out more work there, again, @MizenCake. And don't forget to check out our Instagram. It's on everything. We got a bunch of pictures of these monsters. Probably by now you'll see a picture of the were-tiger and a couple other cool things. So hit us up over there, check out our stuff, and send us whatever kind of feedback or questions, or if you just want to chat, at morningswmonsters@gmail.com. That's it for me. Enjoy the rest of our lycanthropic episode. Hi guys, welcome back. I think we're in the clear. It was just a pack of ferrets with glowing eyes. And I love ferrets, so I was petting them. One bit me, but like it's just a little bite.
Did you see the
so I think we're
intelligence in
good.
their eyes?
Did I see intelligence in there? I mean, they're smart little boys. So
Oh shit!
I don't know. I don't have a very high. I don't have a very high passive perception. So
We'll see you in a month.
maybe we'll figure it out. Yeah, next full moon, right?
Yeah, we just had one. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while. I look up to the moon and start chipper. I don't know.
What are you gonna do?
Ferrets? Yeah.
Actually, fun.
Turn
I
into a
want
ferret.
to just share a fun fact I learned recently. So you guys know like the happy dance that ferrets do when they're like real excited? Okay.
Yes.
Do you know what a stoat is? It's a weasel-like thing. It looks like a ferret, but it's got like stubbier legs and a stubbier face instead of like the pointy face. It's got like more of like a Wolverine face. Okay?
Okay.
Interesting.
They do the same dance that ferrets do, but they do it to mystify rabbits and hares so that they don't run away, and then they go and kill those things and eat them.
I love it.
It's so cool because they're just like wriggling around, hopping up and down, and the bunny's like, yo, this guy's got some moves, and then boom, dead.
Gonna get ya.
Okay, sorry.
You're fine. I love it.
Love that. Well, yeah, next month if you start doing the like wriggle, we know.
The wiggle thing. Yeah. I had a ferret. It was actually my ex's ferret. Loved that guy. He was like almost blind, and he would steal the Swiffer and drag it across the entire house and hide everything. Like every day before I went to work, I had to like lift up the couch to get my keys to leave. Like it was.
My
really
great
awesome.
aunt used to have
I
2
loved that
ferrets,
guy.
and they would steal everything they could.
All
Everything.
the things. Yeah.
All right.
And then I would get home from work and crack a beer, and he would skitter up my back and lay around my neck like a scarf, and then just fall asleep.
What?
Almost every day.
Perfection.
He could tell like I was home when I cracked the beer. He would know that sound and know where I was sitting.
I love that so much. That is amazing.
That is really.
Yep, and they're always sleeping, and you can just wiggle them around. All right, let's get in some prop questions. This is going to be a little bit weird because there's so many different kinds, and they're playable characters already.
Yep.
So I guess friend or foe, and how would you do it? So are you trying to befriend your local whatever, or are you trying to kill it like a
Well,
witch hunt?
I would say if it is a bear, a werebear, I would definitely try to befriend it.
Leave it alone.
I would give him his space, and I would do, kind of like if I were trying to befriend our local ranger, I'd bring him some rope every once in a while, or like some fresh leather.
Oh my God, Smokey the Bear.
Yeah,
archetype.
exactly.
Oh shit.
But outside of the werebear, I probably wouldn't try to befriend any of the local wares, because if it's a were rat, they're either going to do one of two things: try to bite me to get me to join them, or try to kill me. And
I'm sorry, I would have to try and take down the were-rats.
you would have to take them down.
Yeah, I would just have to get rid of them, man.
I mean, but you said friend, like
Or foe.
I would, yeah, I would definitely. I don't know if I would fight them though. Just let them
I'd fight them.
do their thing in the bowels of our city.
I guess. Not if they're out there biting people.
It's like
I think
one
Too
like one
many
a year.
where is to answer this question flat, you know?
Yeah, it's a hard question.
All right. Well, we'll just go down the line.
Situationally.
The four. We'll go down the five that are in the monster manual. Werebear, friend or foe?
Friend. Yeah.
Friend.
For me.
Yep.
Wereboar, neutral evil.
I would like to be friends with a wereboar.
Hell yeah, great
Yeah.
barbarian
Yep.
class. I agree. Were-rat.
Oh.
Kill him.
Yep.
Kill him. Were-tiger.
That could go both ways.
I would try and friend
They're
it,
neutral.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to.
I think we should drop a picture of the were-tiger on the
Okay.
Insta, because it's like the one that's got like it's got armor, it's got a cape, it's got a bow and
Whoa,
arrow and a
that's
scimitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Very
Yeah, we'll throw that up
interesting.
there.
And lastly, the werewolf.
Yeah, well,
Kill that bitch.
I would try to fuck that thing.
You're trying to fuck it?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I can
For why?
put
Well, they're romance creatures. So, like, you could have like little werewolf pup babies that would be like your babies, you know what I mean? Like, you could have them like hanging out and just train them and have like a tiny little army of children were-fighters and send them in.
Well, now I need to fight it, because we can't have people out there fucking them.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm just saying,
I am.
like, if I got the chance, Lorne would.
Are you talking about
Lorne-
like wolf form?
I think like
Wait.
maybe in between would be fun.
Oh god. Okay.
Get deeper scratches that way.
Oh god. Yeah. Fucking mortal wound.
Yeah, you'd have to be like
Their claws fucking do 2d4 plus 2.
Oh man, Lorne would do it, and he would take a very sizable chunk out of his HP to do so.
Debauchery. Okay. Moving on. If you're gonna homebrew this, would you change anything about lycanthropy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was watching WebDM, and one of the guys made a really good point about how 5e doesn't really have any sizable downsides to becoming infected as a player character.
True.
And he gave a lot of good examples of how he would make a drawback a player's problem, and I would absolutely use a drawback. I think it would be dependent on the variant. So
yeah.
I agree.
I would absolutely need to make the player understand that, like, this is a curse, or it's not a blessing. It's not a boon. Unless you're an evil character who doesn't give a fuck about killing innocent people or like being an uncontrollable monster at certain points, you will feel some sort of regret at a point in your storyline, because it can be a huge buff, you know? It really can.
I think depending on like where, because some of them do have like good alignments.
Yeah, that's
So-
true.
But at the same time, like, those are the types of people that feel like, oh, I'm a werebear, I have a good alignment, I can go into a tavern on a full moon and not be affected. But maybe you can't. And maybe there's a reason why werebears live alone in the forest, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what I would say, because I was actually going to say the same thing, but suggest an option. All right, so you get concentration checks for spells, right? I do resistance checks on my God Shard, which is homebrewed. I'm saying do a resistance check. every time there's a full moon, you roll a d20. If you get over 10, then you can maintain your normal state of mind. Under 10, you go into a feral state, and a nat 1, you have to become the animal form for like 1d4 days.
I like that a lot.
I
I would do that as a generalization, but like I also think that like giving an individual a random environmental trigger that isn't the full moon, but like something like I was saying with the werebear being in a tavern, it's drinking with its friends. Taverns are gross. Taverns are ugly. They can be violent. He watches a couple fights. Nothing happens. Maybe the party's like, oh no, maybe like this is too much for him. Nothing happens. But out of the corner of the tavern, someone's talking about selling, enslaved, sentient,
Pelts.
like beasts from the forest or whatever. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, your werebear friend just explodes in chaotic energy, and now you have like a 12-foot polar bear just like ravaging the face off of this dude in the corner.
Yeah, I like that.
That's good.
Because like, and it could be like based on the character who's playing it, or it can be based on the were type that they are. Like, if you got bit by a were rat and you want an individual trigger to come out where your party's just kind of like doing a normal side quest, and all of a sudden you find yourself like in the bowels of the city underneath the like ground, and you don't know why, but your friend who just got bit, he's not looking so good. You know what I mean? And like the further you go in, the more and more transformed they become, and like you get to the center of this like labyrinth of tunnels, and your friend's an uncontrollable were-rat that you now have to take care of before you get to any of your side quest.
That'd be a great side quest. Melina, you want to add or change anything about the stat block?
I think I like what you guys have been talking about. This is a little bit of a harder one for me to talk about, like, in the general sense, just because my brain works a little better with a more limited, like,
it's so many
yeah,
things.
I'm like, how
so many
would I
aspects.
change something about like lycanthropy, or would I change something about like
just any of it.
specific? I definitely think that if anything, like building onto some of the were types that don't have like as detailed stat blocks or as detailed communities or like whatever it is, like a lot of them don't even have like art outside of the like main ones. Yeah, I don't think that there'd be like a lot that I would change. Just like putting more information, and but I definitely like the, what did we call it? The we gotta
resistance.
Yes, yeah, like something else has got to be going on.
Like some kind of downside.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a curse.
Yeah.
It's a curse. So.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and that's the thing, like when it is a curse, yeah, it should have more of a downside. When you're bitten, maybe it has more of like a physical downside. When you're cursed, it has more of like a magical downside. Or when you're
good.
That would be cool. A good discernment.
I like that.
Almost like sub-race lycanthropy. You know what I mean? Were you magically given it, or were you physically given it,
Exactly.
All right. Well, this one might be a little bit easier. I think we're going to skip over alignment just because it can be any alignment.
Yeah.
But how would you TPK everyone with your lycanthropes? I'm bringing this question back.
Yeah, this one's good.
I'd use a swamp.
A swamp?
Swamp.
There are That's
what they're called.
Oh, it's swan?
Yeah. They're the only ones that aren't called like were swans.
What is it called?
Were swan?
It's a swan may.
Ooh.
It's a humanoid that can transform into a swan.
Okay. That's
induced form.
That's so anime.
It's an induced form of lycanthropy. So it's not one that like you can be born into, I don't believe.
Okay.
That's like a wizard's wild magic. or something. Okay, how are you gonna do it? Is it gonna dance around them and intoxicate them with its...
Yeah, and then it's gonna go and murder them all.
Love it. I was thinking, like, horror scene in the woods. They're hunting this lycanthrope. They know that there's, like, a werewolf, right? And they just, like, always... It's always, like, on the edges of their peripherals. Like, they see it for a second, and then it disappears. They investigate. It's gone. Then it slashes at them while they're sleeping. But then they go to investigate. It's gone. And then when they finally find it, it turns out that it's like a werewolf, but there's also another one working with them, like a werebat or something, that's been constantly monitoring them. And they're always kind of like several steps ahead because they're being monitored, and if they fail all those checks. But just like a crazy horror scene where at the end it's, oh my god, it was 2 the whole time.
That's awesome.
Something like that. I think that would be a fun TPK, like, Halloween special.
I would really enjoy writing some like low level one-off for some characters who might not be super familiar with like the real deep layers of D&D. Send them off into a normal adventure in the woods where there might be a cave, and there might be some goblins in there, and there might be like a den of some, like, evil wolves. What are those things called? They're not. Yeah, no, the wargs. Yeah,
Wargs, yeah.
and like, my party's new. They know kind of what D&D is, and in that they know that they can fight things, and so they just start murder goblining all of the things. And I would at one point walk them into a trap set by the werebear, who like holds sway over the woods, and he would hold them on trial and bring up the fact that like the goblin tribe that they slaughtered in the cave on the outskirts of his territory keeps the wargs at bay, and the wargs hunt the deer so that they don't overpopulate and kill off like this special flower that the werebear is like guarding in the forest, and he puts them all to death.
Oh,
it would be awesome because I would get it to
Brutal.
the point where like he gets this dope ass monologue just absolutely expressing point by point all of the wrongs that they've committed, and like they all are just sitting there like, yeah, we did all of those things. I don't know.
We did all of those things. Yeah, that's a great way to TPK your party, is make them feel really, really shitty about all of this decisions, then kill them, then make them rip up their character sheets and
and re-roll, and not even let them do anything differently in that.
No, we're just done. Yeah, you all
New
die.
Story.
You take 40 d6 damage as the axe swings down. Brutal. Okay. What class would you play as a... Oh, wait.
Yeah,
we went over goose or swan. What class would you play if you could play like a shifter? I guess like what if you were gonna play D&D? What kind of were would you be, and what class would you play?
I would play a were-raven, and I would play a rogue.
Great combo.
Of some kind, I think. Just because I really like that idea.
yeah, I think that's cool.
Or I would play a were-spider, and I would be a bard.
What?
I was gonna say bard too, but I was gonna go were-gator
What?
and have like a fiddle. I was gonna do were-gator, fiddle, southern accent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, well that's
I
amazing.
just want like the were-spider to be like almost like just can like crawl across the instruments and just like
All right.
Effortlessly.
Then if you guys are playing those, I am gonna play a cleric armadillo were.
Hell yeah.
And we can have our little were party go do crazy shit.
Or an Eric Kokra that has contracted were dolphin like
Be horrible.
And
You would hate
and
that.
play. Could you imagine the dolphin with wings and feathers in the middle stage, and like just like this terrifying chimera of
They'd make
disgustingness?
like a weird
and then I would play
giggle
like
screech, and they'd be like, "Kill me."
right? And then I would play a chaos barbarian. So like, every time I rage, some random shit happens, and it's just chaotic and evil, and
So like if Graylin,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, if Graylin were a weird Eric Cockroach dolphin wear.
Last question, right on time. How would you like to see them used in gameplay or media?
I would personally just like to see more variants outside of
A werewolf.
wolves, yeah, represented in actual media.
Ditto.
Sure. Yeah, you don't really see
No.
too many.
I want
Yeah, I can't really.
I would
think of
like
any.
character.
of wares.
What's that?
A band of werebards.
Oh man, that would actually be a cool encounter
I-
in a game, in a
Right?
session. Actually,
And for a final act, and they all transform into their were things.
start fucking killing people with their bardly magic.
I wasn't even thinking they would be killing people, but that
I mean,
works
it's
too.
good encounter. Gotta have some violence.
I want to see, and I don't think it could be a campaign, but a character that maybe you run into. So like a champion of like a chaotic god is sent forth on a mission with a magic item that allows him to contract lycanthropy from anything and as many times as he can. So you run into like this regular dude who is just going around and trying to Pokemon every single animal, and he like when he shifts, he's just this like chimeric like mix of all the animals
Oh
he's
my.
created, and it's just like this terrifying thing. But it's like a mission from a god, and he's just kind of impartial.
Would he be a
about it.
paladin?
He's just
Nothing. You don't. Every
I don't think you don't typically have to be a specific class, or any class. I think because like you can be a warlock and make a pact with a god, but then there's just wizards that also have to do things with gods, and clerics, obviously, paladins. I don't know if he would have a class per se. I think he would definitely have a stat block, and you might have to fight him. But his multi attack would just be wild, and his actions would have like 30 different actions.
Chimereware.
But just like and it would be like the D&D movie where they're just constantly shifting from form to form, kind of like the ultimate druid
That would be
almost.
cool.
But
Yeah.
instead of like shifting into animals, he's just like constantly shifting into different humanoid versions.
Like the halfway between.
Yeah, the halfway. And maybe not necessarily all at once, but like how cool would it be to fight something that's like changing on a dime dependent on the situation?
That would be cool.
Like here in water, he's an aquatic form. You slash at him, he flies.
I do have like a pretty cool little story arc that I wouldn't mind doing as like a DM. Because I like the idea of the duality of where, you know what I mean? Lycanthropy gives you like the opportunity to showcase a Jekyll and Hyde situation, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting to have like some kind of champion of the city that my party finds themselves in, whether it be like, you know, the High Paladin or the General of the Guard or even the King, maybe, you know? Someone that like they have access to or gives them quests and like becomes a trustworthy, stable NPC. That like also coincides as like a late reveal BBG, because you could have them, you know, be this person, this totally trustworthy, honorable human, but uncontrollably at the full moon they like wreak havoc on their rival towns or the outlier like outposts in the mountains or in the forests, or like, you know, they saw some moon elves on a festival one night when they were transformed and they slaughtered them all. And like obviously the party would be, you know, sent out to investigate these things, and at some point they're going to get enough proof and knowledge that it's leading back to this trustworthy character, and I would like to play that out to see what kind of moral decisions that the party would take after that, you know?
I like that.
Because at that point, like, Yeah,
Would they
exactly.
know?
If they knew, like if they know for sure, like this is the dude who's also like killing a bunch of people.
Would the Does the dude know?
That's what I'm. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
I want that to come up. Like, does he even know
Yeah.
that's who's doing it, or
Yeah.
if he does know, like, what are we gonna do about that? Like, does he?
What if he's the one putting them out on a mission to
Yeah,
find them?
and like, yeah, like
That
that
would
would
be
be cool. I
wild.
feel like it would be a really nuanced storyline, and it even though like the last fight, if you ended up fighting him, might not be super hard as a like CR. It it would
It
be
would be
sad.
sad.
It would be hard for you emotionally and morally sometime because I want that connection to be deep.
That
Hmm.
bond. Yeah. Love that. Wow. A lot of opportunities to really just make your party
Yeah,
really
I mean
Yeah.
sad.
that's kind of my goal at my table is to create deep emotional reaction to the story.
Yeah, you want laughs,
Emotional
Yep.
tears.
depression.
Yeah, little bouts of it. It's fine.
He just wants to put us all into depressive spirals even further than we've already gone.
Only their characters. Only their characters.
Only
Yeah,
the characters.
not my actual players. They're
Wow.
cool people.
Well, for some reason, I have this crazy urge to just sleep and put a bunch of stuff under my couch. So I'm gonna, I guess, go deal with that
Find some
urge.
shiny stuff.
I don't know.
Shiny.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing the wriggle.
um.
He's doing it.
Stop it.
I can't stop. It just feels right. All right. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Make sure you send some more in. Just not vampires.
Yeah.
Give us a week. At morningswmonsters@gmail.com. That's going to do it for us today. I'm Dylan.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Melina.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.